And let me just okay.
What? Let's wait first.
No, I think we can start. So I'll just open. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending our regular Friday conference. No, this is a very special conference that our Low Vision Service has organized. No, I think it's very important for us as clinicians, no, and as eye care specialists to be aware of advocacies for our low vision patients, no, our responsibilities and our what we know about our patients and what we can do for our patients goes beyond the clinic, no. I think it's very important for us to be aware of what else is out there for our patients, and we're very thankful to Dr. Carmela and Dr. Christine Santos of our Low Vision Service, and of course our speaker for taking the time out of their busy schedules to be with us today. No? So I'm going to turn over the floor to Dr. Ong Shako to moderate the session. Carl?
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today we have a special guest, Rhea Althea Guntalilib, who is accompanied by her best friend and business partner, Dr. Kathy Noskal, who is a functional medicine practitioner. Um, Rhea was never my patient, but I met her through different, I don't know how we met, different patients. And I really admired her for what she went through. She became blind at the age of 18 because of lupus. But 2 years after, she started to look for options of how she could have a life after visual impairment. And so that's the beginning of her everything that she has achieved. So she has studied she took her Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and started having advanced computing studies, major in programming. She was in other schools, no? She was, kasi it's so long, will never end. Okay, so and then she was the first, this is what I remember from the lecture. She was the first blind IT consultant of Smart Communications. After that, she started getting into digital accessibility. So she started working for Twitter, Cathay Pacific, ano ba? Ang dami naman. Disney. And during the pandemic, it boomed. And so now she's like very successful. And she has her own business with Dr. Kathy about wellness. She was Chief Finance and Information Officer of LiveWell. She is LiveWell Medical and Diagnostic Center. She's a board of trustees of Achieve, the computer school for the blind. She is she's an outreach assistant of accessibility support of Vision Australia and the Philippines. She's an accessibility specialist remotely in Virginia. She's a web content writer and a usability tester for my blind spot. Ooh, I like my blind spot. And then she participated in usability testing for various companies, conducting manual accessibility interfaces, software engineer, software development analysis, accessibility tester. She's a course developer and trainer for Achieve. And she does web development and web accessibility instructor for the Japan Braille Library and Malaysia. Wow, in Malaysia. Anyway, she is now her passion, or she's a digital accessibility consultant, and she's also very active in bringing digital accessibility for the visually impaired, especially to the Philippines. So I would like to introduce Ms. Rhea Gontaliliz.
Stand up na lang dito. Good afternoon again, everybody. Thanks so much, Dr. Carmela, for inviting me here this afternoon. Actually, I'm a little nervous. I'm very excited to share ito nga po, digital accessibility, something that I'm very, very passionate about. So once again, I am Rhea Gontaliliz. I am an accessibility consultant. So as Dr. mentioned kanina, I'm totally blind, but I'm not born blind. So I lost my sight nga when I was 18 because of lupus. So again, Dr. Carmela mentioned, I am a software engineer by profession, but I decided to take the path of digital accessibility. So currently, I am now working as an independent contractor for, well, actively working as an independent contractor for two different US-based companies. One is Level Access, which actively work with companies like Disney, Samsung, Twitter, and yung mga companies na yun. And also, I'm with Benetech, the provider of the biggest accessible online library all over the world. So, yun po yung ginagawa ko. So, in this accessibility consulting job, I work closely with web developers, web designers, and I help them make their products, meaning be it website, mobile application, I help them make it accessible for persons who are, well, who are blind like me, but basically, I help them make yung mga products na yun accessible for all. So, bakit ako napunta sa path na to? Kasi ako yung first hand na nakaka-experience ng mga accessibility issues na to. But then I reached a point in my life na sabi ko, instead of, just complaining and complaining and complaining of all these accessibility issues na I-encounter ko, why not just, try to be part of the solution? That's why I landed into the path of digital accessibility. Next slide, please. So this afternoon, I'm gonna share a little bit about my journey of, someone who is totally blind, very much involved with technology. I'm also gonna share about digital accessibility and why is it important. And don't worry, I'm not gonna be technical. Gusto ko lang magbigay ng high-level perspective on what accessibility is and, of course, on how it is relevant to the healthcare industry. Okay, so siguro, kanina, nung in-introduce ako ni Dr. Carmela, in-introduce ko yung sarili ko na I am totally blind, I'm sure most of you here, or even those who are online, nagtataka siguro kayo, she's totally blind and yet she's a software engineer, nagko-computer siya. So how is that even possible? Tama po ba ako? I'm sure may mga questions kayo ganon. So, well, to answer that, persons with disabilities like me, we have what we call, next slide please, assistive technologies or assistive tools na ginagamit namin. So, maraming assistive tools all over ngayon. So, say for example, we have screen magnifiers for persons with low vision. The most popular brand is ZoomText. We have voice recognition software. The most popular brand is Dragon. Yun naman is para sa mga people with motor impairment. And for people who are totally blind like me, we have what we call a screen reading software. And the one that I'm using is called JAWS, or Job Access with Speech. And I also use NVDA. So next slide, please. So here's a quick demo on how I use the screen reader. Okay. Say I want to open an application or a program in my computer using JAWS. So how would I do that? There are actually several different ways, and one way to do that is to go to the desktop environment by pressing Windows key, that's letter T. Then I could simply use the arrow keys to move around each icon, or I could simply press the first letter of the program that I want to access. Then press the enter key to activate the program. I could also open an application via the start menu, or for this one, let's try to open a Word document using the run dialog box. So let's press Windows key plus letter R, then let's type WinWord, then let's press the enter key. Maybe at this point you're wondering, how many anything behind? The speed is too fast, the voice is too robotic. Well, this is something that I use every day, so this is something that you could get used to. But just to mention, JAWS is highly customizable. You could adjust the speed, the volume, the pitch, and there are a lot of modifications that you could do with JAWS. So let's try to type a sentence. Notice how the pitch changes when I type something in the uppercase. So basically, that's how I'm able to identify if the letter is in upper or in lowercase. Now, let's try to read the sentence, but first let me adjust the speed so you guys could understand.
Slower. Big brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
I could also read it by character.
O-T-H-E space U-I-C-K space E.
Or I could also read it by word.
With brown fox jumps over.
And of course, I could also edit and format my documents using JAWS. So let's try to select everything.
Selected.
And say for instance, we want to format the font or change the font. So let's try to activate the font dialog box.
Control E. Font dialog. Font tab. Font the tab bold.
Select the changes that you want to apply.
Size level 1416 tab. Font color.
And then press the enter key to activate the changes.
To activate, press space bar. Top color left arrow on the shift tab. Size bold edit top. Print view edit.
And to check if the changes applied, I'm going to use the JAWS command.
Bolded 16 points. Might have white.
So it said bolded 16 points. So now let's move to web browsing. Let's go back to the web browser that I opened already.
Bold tab.
When it comes to browsing the web, well, it's a little different. We have what we call navigational keys that we use in order to access different web elements. Say, for example, I could press letter E to move from one form field to the other. Or I would press letter B to move from one button to the other. So it said Google search button and feeling lucky button. Or I could press letter H to move from one heading to the other. So there are a lot more navigational keys that we can use in order to browse the web. So let's try to search about accessibility. I press letter E and now I press the space bar in order to activate the form. So I could type. So at this point, I'm sure you notice JAWS is so talkative. So JAWS behaves this way. It reads everything that it found on the top of this part of the page, and it won't stop reading until the very last content or element that it finds in the bottom part of the page. So what I did, I pressed the control key so that JAWS would pause or JAWS would stop reading the entire page. So since I'm aware that the search results are in headings, I would simply press letter H. And to activate or open a particular result, I could just press the enter key. So now it is also through JAWS that I could send, receive, or read emails. So let's try to open one of my work emails. So as I said, I'm using different navigational keys in order to access content. So basically, this is how I open email, this is how I read, this is how I reply, but I would no longer demonstrate that. And yeah, actually, same principle applies when I am accessing several different social media platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on and so forth. So basically, that's it. Okay. So I just decided to record na lang to avoid technical issues din, and para din yung time is makontrol ko. And by the way, that video is parang in 2017 pa, 2016 ka. If you notice, it's Internet Explorer. So hindi na ako gumagamit ng Internet Explorer. But well, the principle, basically it's the same. So ganyan pa rin siya. Gumagamit lang ako ng ibang browser, of course, more updated version of JAWS. And by the way, I don't have a special computer. So this one is just a regular laptop. I also don't have a special keyboard. Memorize ko lang yung keyboard. So meron lang talaga akong third-party software that is installed here in my laptop. And when same goes sa phone ko, papakita ko na lang mabilis lang. Of course, hindi ko na maipo-project yung screen. So I have this one, VoiceOver installed. Sorry, built-in pala siya dito sa iOS. So ganun ko rin gamitin itong phone ko. So there's a talking software for my phone. So anyway, to continue. So everything that you saw sa video kanina, and even here in my phone, those programs, those applications that I was able to access, even the web, everything became possible for me or for persons like me because of a concept we call digital accessibility. And next slide, please. So when we say digital accessibility, let's just put it this way. Familiar kayo for sure sa mga wheelchair ramps, right? So naglalagay tayo ng mga wheelchair ramps sa mga buildings so that people who are using wheelchairs can easily access the buildings. So that concept, ilalagay lang natin siya sa digital space. So when we say digital accessibility, we make sure that hardware man yan, software, or any digital product, content that is digital, is accessible and usable to all users. Next slide, please. And when I say all users, there's this notion kasi na when you say it's digital accessibility, it's just for persons with disabilities. So actually, hindi po totoo yun kasi digital accessibility is for everybody. Say for example, people with temporary disability would also benefit. So ano ba ang ibig kong sabihin ng temporary disability? So these are the people na, well, hindi natin yun maiiwasan. Sometimes we can break an arm, tapos hindi natin magamit yung isang kamay natin to use our mobile phones. Now, because of accessibility principles, kahit one-handed ka lang mag-phone or mag-laptop, for as long as the product that you're using is accessibility compliant, magagamit yun ng taong yun. Another one is persons with situational disability. So when I say situational disability, one of the most common is, I'm sure, hindi foreign sa atin ng slow internet connection, correct? So at some point, nakakaranas tayo ng mabagal na connection. What if we are in a scenario na we need to watch a video, tapos sobrang hina ng internet? So paano natin mako-consume yung content? Say for example, importante na malaman natin yung content ng video, but the internet is super slow. So doon ngayon papasok yung power ng transcripts. So even if the internet connection, hindi niya kaya i-play yung video with the presence of the transcript, so well, at least, mag-grasp natin yung content ng video. So again, that's a product of accessibility. And lastly, not because we are already in the digital era, parang i-assume natin na everybody's techie. Ako, my parents are not very techie. I have my grandparents na gumagamit sila ng mga tablet. They are not very techy as well. But because of concepts of digital accessibility, mas nagiging madali for them to access or to easily use yung mga mobile applications or yung mga websites. Okay, so the next question is, so anong mangyayari kung, let's say, i-ignore natin ang concept of digital accessibility? Next slide, please. Tama ba? This is the parang
Yes.
challenges. Mati-discuss ako in some of the areas na tingin ko very important ang role ng digital accessibility. First and foremost, in the area of education. Ako, I graduated pre-pandemic. And ang naging setup ko is, nag-iisa po akong blind student sa school namin back then. I was the first and only blind student in the school. So, it was tough. Sobrang hirap. I have to be very, very creative kasi back then, 2012, ang accessibility here in the Philippines, hindi pa siya ganun ka-popular, I think. So I have to be very, very creative. I remember in some of my subjects, kasi programming yung klase, yung course ko, meron kaming subjects like flow charting. So back then, kinailangan ko pang gumawa ng mga cutouts. College na ako doon, pero pumapasok po ako, meron ako mga dalang mga cutouts, mga clays, mga yarns, para lang maintindihan ko, logic math yung subject ko nun. So fast forward, post-COVID. So dahil po sa COVID, hindi naman ho kaila sa ating lahat yan, parang online classes became very popular. Not just popular, pero parang it became a thing. So just imagine if digital accessibility would not be considered. So paano na yung mga learners with disabilities? At nangyayari po yan these days. There are visually impaired students na sobrang nahihirapan sila to cope up sa mga subjects nila because the learning materials, hindi sila accessible. Not because it's not possible, kaya lang siguro the teachers, hindi lang pa sila, I must say, na-orient kung paano gawing accessible yung mga learning materials. So, in the field of education, especially these days, walang kaduda-duda, digital accessibility plays a very important role. Another one is in employment. So, unemployment rate is, kumbaga, yan yung pinakamalaking problem namin mga PWDs here in the Philippines. We usually nasa-stereotype kami into doon kami sa field ng massage. Not that, walang masamang maging masahista. I just want to point that out. Wala ding masama na maging musically inclined. But with the absence of digital technology, parang nakakahon kami sa mga jobs na gano'n. But now, because of digital accessibility, blind people like me can already work as software engineers, call center agents, bloggers. So nag-expand yung opportunities or yung job options for us because of digital accessibility. In fact, ako ngayon, yung sa trabaho ko, since I'm 100% working remotely, so I rely 100% sa mga productivity tools, mga cloud-based software, mga project management tools. And that wouldn't be possible for me to, have a decent job if not because of digital accessibility. The last thing is, of course, even if I'm blind, entitled pa rin naman ako for leisure, for entertainment. Nanonood ako ng YouTube, I read the news, nakikinig din ako ng chismis. I will be able to do all those things without digital accessibility. And by the way, before I lost my sight, talagang I was into reading. Sobrang gustong-gusto ko ng books. And that became a problem for me when I lost my sight kasi sabi ko, paano na kaya ako magbabasa? So good thing now, we already have this online library called Bookshare na meron siyang ngayon pala, we already have 1.3 million accessible books that we can download from the library. And all those books are accessible for people with print impairment like me. So we are trying to blend Bookshare na sa learning, sa education system natin dito sa Philippines, and hopefully mag-succeed kami. So next slide, please. Since I'm talking about Bookshare, so yeah, I just want to show a short video about it.
Disabled. A person who cannot effectively access traditional print materials because of visual impairment, physical disability, or a severe learning disability that affects reading. In the United States, it is estimated that 2% of the student population has a print disability, and according to UNICEF, 1 in 4 children grow up without learning how to read. By 3rd and 4th grade, as independent reading becomes important for academic success, students who are behind in reading often begin falling behind in all their subjects. So what happens to students with print disabilities? These learners can face some tough challenges when they try to read traditional print books. As a result, these students may fall behind in school, get disinterested in learning, and even drop out. But here's the good news. Bookshare makes books accessible for individuals with print disabilities. At the world's largest accessible online library, Bookshare empowers learners by letting them read in ways that work for them. They can listen to words read aloud, listen to words and see them highlighted on screens, and large font sizes, read in digital braille, and more. Bookshare helps readers with print disabilities make the transition from learning to read to reading to learn. Many Bookshare members experience an increased interest and motivation to read and begin to find possibilities beyond the classroom. Bookshare is available not just to students, but to all ages, including qualified adults and senior citizens. Today, Bookshare serves over 300,000 qualified students worldwide, and we hope you will join us to make sure every learner with qualifying print disabilities, including adult readers, get access to this resource. Be inspired, get involved, learn more at bookshare.org.
Yeah. So by the way, if you have patients who wants to have free Bookshare subscriptions, reach out to me lang and I'll get them one. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, more on the importance or the challenges that we can possibly encounter without digital accessibility. For me, it would always boil down to exclusion. So ngayon, it is very much evident na din even to our daily activities. So who among here is not familiar with Lazada or Shopee? Parang online shopping is a thing. So if we make these online shops or online stores accessible, so just imagine the convenience that it would bring to the lives of persons with disabilities like me. Since our movements are very limited because of our disability nga, parang if we can access ang mga shop na to without any challenges or without any difficulties, so magkakaroon din kami ng independence when it comes to shopping. Same goes with mobile banking apps. Siyempre, paano ka naman mag-shopping pag wala kang pambili? So, yan. The banking system is another issue, but it's one of the biggest issues namin mga visually impaired here in the Philippines. Hindi kami basta-bastang nakaka-open ng bank account. And ako, fortunately for me, meron ako mga bank accounts, but the mobile banking apps, hindi din siya accessible. So just imagine, if I need to withdraw, I need to check my balance. Pag dumating na yung mga sweldo ko, I always need to ask someone sighted to look at my bank account. So that's very uncomfortable, di ba? Sometimes, parang I wish, sana time would come na, I can manage my finances independently. Another one, I'm sure na-experience niyo na to. So, quick kwento lang. I was with my mom parang last month yata to. Tapos, inaya ko siya sa, are you familiar with Zaid Cafe? So, si mami ko, hindi siya techie. Tapos ako, I'm totally blind. Tapos, the only way to order is gamitin mo yung tablet nila. So, parang, sabi ko, paano kaya kami o-order ng food? Well, good thing naman, when I talk to the service crew and explain the situation na I'm totally blind and my mom is not techie, so pumayag naman sila for manual orders. Pero ibig ko lang sabihin, the direction is moving na kumbaga, we're moving towards that direction na. So Zig Cafe is just one, Genki Sushi is another one. Parang parami na ng parami yung mga restaurants na ganyan na, meron ng tablet, tapos doon ka na magpa-place ng order mo. So, parang a couple of years from now, so imagine if we do not implement digital accessibility. So what would happen? Parang habang nag-move forward tayo, habang mas nagiging techy tayo, baka ang ending, persons with disabilities like me, imbes na makasabay, lalo kaming mapag-iiwanan. So, one more thing, siguro moving forward, alam naman natin, AI is there. So, I'd like to show something AI related and how it impacts then digital accessibility. Next slide.
Sorry.
Nagpapili ko kaya nito. Sorry. Anyway.
It's not clear. Parang ayaw.
It's okay. Sayang. Actually, what I wanted to show sana is a project of Honda. They call it Scenic Audio. So, di ba, that's one of our struggles kasi when I'm inside the car, parang what's happening outside? So, itong Scenic Audio that is AI-powered, it describes real-time kung ano yung nakikita sa labas. So, Honda at the moment, ang meron po nitong technology nito, and yeah, they call it Scenic AI. Sorry, ano na nga yung next slide?
It's not appeal.
Yeah, okay. So, those that I mentioned, those are the benefits for persons with disabilities like me. So the question siguro ninyo, hindi naman ako PWD, so what's in it for me? Okay, nilagay ko dyan sa slide ko, we're not forever young. So medyo hindi siya ganun kagandang pakinggan, but that's the reality of life. As we age, definitely we will acquire some sort of disability. Lalabo yung paningin natin, hihina yung pandinig natin, yung mga reflexes natin, it wouldn't be as kung paano siya ngayon. Baka yung simpleng pag-swipe sa mga screen, darating yung araw, mahihirapan na tayong gawin yun. So whenever I present to my fellow IT people, I always ask them, those tools that you develop or you design, ang tanong ko sa kanila, can your future self use those technologies? Kasi technology is not going away. So pwedeng malinaw na malinaw yung mga paningin natin ngayon, malinaw na malinaw ang pandinig natin, but definitely it will never be that way forever. So with the presence of digital accessibility, ayun, I know someone, parang 70-ish na siya. She's not totally blind naman, pero since medyo malabo na yung paningin niya, inaral niya kung paano gumamit ng screen reader. So, yeah, parang pina-future-proof na niya yung sarili niya. She's not, hindi niya naman iniisip na mabubulag siya, pero sabi nga niya, she's happy that she discovered these options. Hindi man tong screen reader, is yung mga screen magnification software. So another point is a business perspective, which is this one, mas i-elaborate ko to later. Dito sa Philippines, 1.5 million na kaming persons with disabilities. Parang all over the world, we're billions. So if we look at it from the business point of view, lalo na't may access na kami sa technology, we are considered customers. So syempre, more customers, more business. So yun. Moving forward, next slide please. Now, ito na, let's proceed. I think this part, medyo mas makaka-relate po kayo. So how do we relate digital accessibility to healthcare? Tama naman po yung slide ko.
Ay, pathway to English.
Sorry. I forgot something. Ayun pa pala. So, more than yung mga nabanggit ko kanina, the most important thing about digital accessibility are the technologies that were born because of it. So, who among you here ang merong Alexa at home? Sinong gumagamit ng Siri? Hey Google? Di ba? Parang, itong mga voice assistant na to, they were originally developed for people who are blind, for people with motor impairment. But now, tignan nyo, all of us are using it. Another one is yung mga predictive text. So pag nasa-search tayo or pag nag-fill up tayo ng form, this one is very helpful. But these technologies are originally developed for people with dyslexia. Another one is yung mga language translation apps. These are originally developed for people with hearing impairment. Pero di ba, ngayon, pag nagta-travel tayo, especially in a country na hindi tayo familiar sa language nila, parang it became a necessity for us para mag-survive sa country na yun when we travel. So those are just some of the very, very few instances or examples na parang dahil ginawa siya initially for persons with disabilities just to parang comply for accessibility, ang nangyari, na-discover itong mga programs na to na naging kapakipanginabang na siya for everybody. Okay, so next slide please. So now I'm gonna move to the tama po yun.
Digital accessibility.
Yeah, digital accessibility sa healthcare industry. So, magpo-point out lang ako ng 4 na important points. So, number 1, next slide please. Compliance to local laws. So, at the moment, sadly dito sa Pilipinas, medyo hindi pa mahigpit when it comes to implementing laws on digital accessibility. Although there's one na, the Magna Carta for Persons with Disabilities, itong law na to talks about rehabilitation, self-improvement. So, parang hindi siya directly sinasabi, but digital accessibility is beginning to fall under this, itong Magna Carta for Persons with Disabilities. Another one is the Mental Health Act. So, again, hindi siya directly related to accessible technologies, but it talks about our rights, it talks about non-discrimination, so still, it applies to digital accessibility. Kung papaano, well, I'm gonna move on to the next slide. So dito napapasok ngayon, well, as we know, especially after COVID, we already have telemedicine, tama ba? Very, parang marami na akong doctors na kilala ngayon, meron na talaga silang mga EMR. So of course, that is for the side of the doctor, but still, merong interfacing sa side naming mga pasyente, especially sa mga telemedicine platforms. So unfortunately, there are platforms na, say for example, gusto ko magpa-online consultation with my rheumatologist, I still need help. So sometimes, medyo that's uncomfortable, especially if gusto ko sana the entire consultation is coming down lang. So again, doon po papasok ng importance ng digital accessibility. Another one is, ang dami na po nating mobile apps ngayon that are health-related. So not because they are persons with disabilities, siguro naman hindi ibig sabihin hindi namin sila pwedeng magamit. So we now have wearable devices na nakakatulong talaga sa health. So like what I'm wearing now, this watch, nagsasalita din pala siya, by the way, and it's connected sa Android phone ko. Pinili ko siya kasi parang mas marami siyang health benefits. Like, napansin ko kapag nagwo-walking ako, kasi if you notice, I'm more on the bigger size ngayon because medyo naturukan ako ng sangkatutak na steroids last November. So I'm trying to lose weight by walking in the morning, in the evenings. And natutuwa ako dito sa watch ko to kasi apart from it gives me yung actual number of steps, it vibrates pag medyo yung heart rate ko bumibilis. So I know when to slow down. So I can monitor a lot of things related to my health because of this watch. Unfortunately, again, hindi pa din siya 100% accessible. So again, hopefully, it will become more accessible kasi this is very, very helpful. Tapos, one last is digital pharmacies. So, nagsisimula na to. I know wala pa tayo ng full-blown na ganito ngayon. But, or siguro hindi lang ako aware, but I'm sure meron na rin mga digital pharmacies. So, moving on to our next slide. So this is connected to what I've been saying kanina. Now, of course, kaming mga persons with disabilities, gusto rin namin ng privacy. Gusto namin ng independence. Di ba, when it comes to medical records, isa yan sa mga very important or parang very particular tayong lahat sa data privacy. And because of digitalized accessibility, I must say, nagkakaroon ng better communication between the doctor and the patient. Okay. Next slide, please. Another importance of digital accessibility to healthcare is, especially po nung nagkaroon ng COVID, we have announcements here and there. Marami po tayong nilalabas ng mga resources and materials kung paano po yung mga ordinaryong tao na wala namang access on a daily basis sa healthcare is paano ba nila ma-maintain na healthy yung mga pangangatawan nila. So, parang nakakalungkot if you think about it na itong mga announcements na to, itong mga advisories na to, or yung mga health tips na to, ang ma-reach lang nila is yung mga merong mabilis na internet connection or yung mga taong walang disability. So that's a little unfair, diba? Because everybody, I believe, is entitled to good quality of healthcare. So next slide. Okay, so probably you're wondering, so ang tanong siguro ninyo, paano yan? Hindi naman kami techie. We're not from the IT industry. Mga doctors kami. So paano ba kami magsusupport the digital accessibility? Well, apart from, of course, spreading awareness about it, ang isang pinaka-important or pinaka-easiest way to do it is, sino na sa inyo dito ang nakasubscribe sa mga telemedicine platforms? Kung meron man. Ang nakikita namin is, we always ask yung mga doctors na kung pwede, if you subscribe sa isang program, especially if you procure a program or a system, parang gawin ninyong requirement ang digital accessibility. So dito papasok yung sinasabi ko kanina na business perspective, because if I am the developer of the application, medyo maa-alarma ako kung like, kunwari, the group of Makati Med doctors, mai-implement na they would only subscribe to this platform kasi it's accessible. Hindi nila bibilin yung program ko kasi it's not accessible. So parang medyo nagiging blackmail siya. But in a way, of course, yung mga developers, yung mga business owners, kung ano yung hihingin ng market nila or ng client nila, yun yung gagawin nila. So that's where the business perspective comes in. And well, for very big hospitals like this one, which I think meron din IT department, it would really be helpful kung, I'm sure pinapadala naman natin ang mga IT persons natin into training. So parang this is the perfect time to send them to trainings that are related to digital accessibility as well. Yeah. Next slide, please. Ano nga po itong
Sample project.
Okay. So before I end itong part ng lecture ko, gusto ko lang din mag-share ng mga sample projects na currently ginagawa ko ngayon. Unfortunately, these projects are abroad and not here in the Philippines. Pero I strongly believe na it's just a matter of time. Dadalhin na rin yan dito sa Pilipinas. So let's start with the sisimulan ko siya dun sa pangalawa, the AI-assisted na triage. So, meron kaming mobile app ngayon that is powered, meron siyang mga chatbots that is powered by GPT-4. Parang magko-consult yung pasyente, dun niya sasabihin lahat ng siguro yung mga symptoms niya. And then, habang sinasabi ng patient yung symptoms niya, nagpe-present ng mga succeeding questions yung AI na chatbot. Then, ninonote niya lahat ng sagot ng patient, ikino-consolidate. And then, based dun sa assessment ng AI, yung AI ang mag-recommend kung anong specialist ang kailangan ng pasyente. And then, this AI, nakadiretso na siya sa booking system ng mga doctors. Okay. So the advantage is, ako, being a patient myself, naniniwala ako that yung success ng diagnosis ko, kumbaga big part of it, nakadepende sa kung ano rin yung mga dinidisclose kong symptoms ko, dinidisclose kong mga nararamdaman ko. And not intentionally, parang kung binabalikan ko yung mga initial check-ups ko before, not all the time, na-disclose ko silang lahat. So with this kind of technology, na meron ng something na proactive, na nagtatanong based dun sa mga sagot na binibigay ko, chances are, mas buo yung information na darating dun sa doctor. And yun nga since this is just, kumbaga triage lang naman, so the final assessment, the final verdict, nandun pa rin sa doctor. Pero ibig ko lang sabihin, there's already technology that can better help patients to really disclose kung ano yung mga nararamdaman nila. So, yung nabanggit ko dyan na end-to-end patient care, nasabi ko nga kanina, so magbubook na yung patient ng appointment hanggang sa parang yung system na ginagawa namin ngayon is naka-connect na siya hanggang sa digital pharmacy sa dulo, hanggang sa delivery na ng mga medicines dun sa patient. So parang end-to-end na siya for the patient. So another one na sobra kong ikinatutuwa, and again, AI-generated din siya. Mental health app naman siya, ganun din. These are chatbots powered by GPT-4 again. Na parang ang target market yata is to distribute this app sa mga schools. Parang bibigyan lang sila ng parang virtual na kausap kung meron silang mga problems. And then, merong mga trained professionals na nakamonitor sa mga systems na to. And if they see something na medyo alarming, kunwari may estudyante na medyo suicidal, directly na nila siyang i-connect sa suicide hotline. So yeah, those are just some of the projects that I'm currently working on right now, which I hope and pray dumating din siya sa Pilipinas very, very soon. Okay, so I'm moving now to the last part of my lecture. Next slide, please. So ito na medyo light na to. I just want to share how digital accessibility changed my life, although parang majority of it nabanggit na ni Dr. Alvena kanina. Pero I'm very, very happy na, next slide please, I was able to finish school. So nakapag-graduate po ako kahit totally blind na ako, and medyo ito-flex ko na ng konti. I graduated magna cum laude. I'm very proud to say na blood and sweat yan. I never got any special treatment or anything. And again, because of technology, meron akong flexibility to take further studies. So I'm currently enrolled at Enderan ngayon and taking a professional diploma in UX design. So this is in partnership with UXTI in Ireland. Mag-e-exam na ako soon. So sana pumasa ako.
Good luck.
User experience design po. So, keep up. Next slide. As I mentioned kanina, when it comes to employment naman, I got the chance to, sino bang mag-aakala, diba? The first and only blind employee ng Smart back then. So I became one of their programmers. So I stayed in Smart from 2012 to 2018. Kaya lang nagkaroon ako ng major lupus flare, so I had to resign. Pero buti na din. Kasi after that, ayun nga, I found the path to digital accessibility. Okay, so next slide, please. So those are my office mates sa Smart. Next slide, please. Isa yan sa mga workstations ko sa bahay. And then, yan, my most recent venture, one thing that I'm very, very proud of. So I got the chance to put up a simple lang medical laboratory in our province. Next slide, please. With her. Kasi I am a lupus patient, so I am from Nueva Vizcaya. So just to give you an idea, anong nangyayari sa akin man, kung kailangan ko magpa-test ng mga C3, HSCRP, ANA, or kahit anong special test. Imagine niyo, meron akong lupus flare, hinang-hina ako, kailangan ko pang bumiyahe ng Maynila para lang makapagpa-test. So what we did, we tried to bring this special test sa Humboldt province namin. So we partnered with a laboratory here in Makati. So pinapadala namin yung mga specimen dito, na ibibigay namin yung mga results ng mabilis. So at least, sa maliit na bagay na yan, nakakapag-serve kami sa mga kababayan namin. So slowly, since 3 years na yung business namin, I'm very proud to say naman na nakilala na kami na basta special test sa level na pupunta. So, next slide please. So yan yung mga pictures sa lab. Next slide. Next slide. And next slide. This one, ito naman na yung book ko. Again, through the help of digital technology, sino bang mag-aakala? Actually, yan nga yung mga tanong minsan kapag meron akong mga nakikilala. You can't see, ano ka nagsulat ng libro? So, ang answer ko lang doon, it's because of accessible technology. So, I was able to write and publish my own book. Now, I'm giving it for free. I'm selling it sometimes. It's in Amazon. It's in Bookshare. So, at least, diba, I have a book. Parang I have something na I could say na parang legacy ko na kahit siguro mawala na ako someday. There's something that I can leave behind that will live forever. And next slide. Ito naman ang aking mga kinagigiliwan, my pets. Si Shiro at si Sabi. So one is a Maltese and one is a toy poodle. So anong connect ng digital accessibility sa kanila? Whenever, kunwari syempre, I'm first time for a parent din. Pag may mga gusto akong i-research, thanks to technology, madali for me to go online and research everything that I want. And syempre, hindi po birong mag-alaga ng pets. So I'm very happy that at least I have a job that provides na, well, in turn, nasusustentohan ko yung mga pangangailangan ng mga pets. So, next slide, please. So that ends my presentation. Sana I was able to inspire you. I was able to plant seeds of digital accessibility to all of you. And if you want to ask anything about accessibility, please feel free to reach out. So that's my website. Nandiyan lahat ng social media accounts ko and everything. So I would love to connect with all of you. So again, thank you so much and God bless us all.
Do we have any questions? Before pala the others will ask, I just want Rhea has been an inspiration to me, and what I do is I share her book, especially to parents of children who are visually impaired, to inspire them that there is a life after. What I want Rhea lang to also emphasize is the difficulty you had before you found. How did you from being blind, diba that was mga 2 years that you weren't doing anything, how did you find that there was life after your darkness?
Okay. Okay. That one, I owe to my family talaga. Kaya, lagi kong sinasabi, the support of the family is very, very important. Kasi if you remember, sinabi ko kanina, I love reading books. So after 2 years, bored na ako sa bahay. Then, sabi ko sa mami ko, mami, gusto kong matutong mag-braille kasi gusto kong makapagbasa ulit. So, yeah. When I told her na gusto kong mag-aral ng braille, immediately, she went to the SPED center of our province, kinausap yung SPED teacher. Then the SPED teacher told us, oh, bakit braille? Meron ng computers na pwedeng gamitin si Rhea. So, yeah, the rest was history. And because of that, yung family ko din, lumapit sila to different organizations na siguro tingin nila makakatulong sa amin. So parang it's really a journey of hahanapin namin dati kung what would work for me. Kaya nga, lagi kong sinasabi, ang swerte ng mga pasyente ni Dr. Ang Siaco kasi they have a doctor na sobrang informed, sobrang aware siya sa mga technologies like this one. So,
I was just gonna ask you, did you see ophthalmologists? Marami, di ba, prior?
I saw 16 eye doctors.
Yeah. And none of them told you that there was something more that you can do.
None. At that time.
So that's the only message, especially for ophthalmologists, general, that if never say that it's the end because it's not the end. So what more for people with residual vision? Yeah. Who else? Sharon, Dr. Valero, do you have any?
Yeah, maybe. Hi, thank you very much for that lecture. No, I think we learned a lot. We sort of, opened our eyes to what is possible and what is out there. No, this is really not a question, but more like a challenge to our managers here. No, the managers of the eye center, no, our corporate communications, quality management, no, the ones who make forms, the ones who ask for surveys from patients, no. Medyo mahirap makunan ng survey yung mga patients natin sa eye center kasi visually impaired. Tapos bibigyan natin ng napakaliliit na forms, no, to tawag dito to accomplish. Maybe it's time for us to look into this, no, digital accessibility for our forms, for our web based mga announcements, as was mentioned earlier. No, marami tayong mga nasa web na sa tawag dito sa website natin ng mga information that is not really accessible to those who are visually impaired. No. So corporate communications is here. Maybe they can do something about it. No, for the eye center, a lot of your forms are actually, not designed for the visually impaired. We can all convert this into digital that can be more accessible to our patients. So I guess this is just a challenge for all of them. I just have a question to our speaker. Yung Magna Carta ng disability ba does not include visual disability. Has no specific kasi 'di ba it's the one that includes you need to have a ramp for access to buildings, etc. It doesn't include visual disability.
Yeah, at the moment po, pero ito nga po, i-share ko na din po, nabasa ko na rin first hand. There's already a drafted bill that is patterned din po dito sa Magna Carta for Persons with Disabilities and patterned po siya from the Americans Disability Act. So one senator is pushing to implement yung bill na yun dito that is more focused on the digital space po. Actually, ang isang penalty po na nakalagay doon is gagayahin po niya yung nasa America na if the business will not comply with accessibility standards, pwede pong hindi daw sila mag-issue ng business permits. So, I just don't know how it would materialize, but meron na pong mga initiatives ang Senate to push those kinds of bills or laws.
Okay, thank you very much for that info. We hope we hear more about that in the coming months or years. No, and I think The experts for our low vision field are here, no? They can probably support that with you know, and yeah, so Carmela, baka pwede nyo i-support yung mga initiatives na ganyan. Maybe even just write the Senate or the House about it and support this Magna Carta for visually disabled. Thank you very much.
Do we have other questions?
We have one. Doc. Doctora Jemar Fori po, Doc, asked, for visually impaired patients who are not tech savvy, are there instructors or centers we can refer them to daw?
Yes, Doc, definitely there are both. One is at Rio, so it's located in Quezon City. Actually, because of the pandemic, nagpo-provide na rin po sila ng digital training. So even students po or yung mga visually impaired that are not in Metro Manila, pwede na po mag-join sa mga online classes nila, and even with resources for the blind. Yun po yung mga dito sa Philippines. But what's good is, because of the presence na po of the internet na, it's honestly just one Google away, parang Google search away. You just type basic JAWS 101, basic NVDA 101, mga ganyan. Marami na pong step-by-step tutorials na pwede pong ibigay sa mga people with visual impairment.
What's the other question?
Doctora Christine, Doc, raised her hand. Doctora?
Very good.
You're on mute, Doc.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Rhea. I'm Dr. Christine Santos. I just wanted to congratulate you for sharing your time to inspire us and to make us realize not to take things for granted. I mean, kasi with all the senses, no, when you were doing the presentations, you were using the voice, right? So I was also like lots of things going into my head, like for IT who's here, no, if you want to, I mean, because we're jumping, riding on the AI, and also improving web developments, I guess an audio option would also be good. To also, in addition to what Sherman also mentioned regarding forms and all that, even if we have been brainstorming regarding survey forms, for example, would you, if we shifted to iPad technology, and yet going back to Miss Rhea's sharing about the iPad, I guess the audio option would be very helpful. Aside from that, I really appreciate you, Rhea, for making time for this, to take the matter into your hands. And I'm gonna contact you for sure, because I think I'd be able to help you with the ICT. Maybe I can hook you up with somebody and help you, like, you know, elevate your your advocacy, and maybe we can work it together also with the others who are also interested in
Actually, many of the, I think most of the low vision are here, so are also listening.
Yes,
So
yeah.
at least we're aware and we can try and help.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Rhea. Maraming salamat.
Oli has a question.
Thank you very much for presenting the lecture. I'm a resident in Makati. My name is Oli. And I just want to ask, kasi we sometimes have patients na they're not usually, they're totally blind. However, may mga diagnosis na papunta doon. They are like retinitis pigmentosa sometimes. Towards the end, they would lose their vision talaga. My question is, while they still have vision, since you've been through everything, what would you recommend for them to start with before they lose everything? I mean, all that they see.
Okay. Kasi personally, I've been there. So the loss of my sight is gradual. Sadly for me, back then, I don't have any idea about this technology. So what I really advise is parang easier said than done, but mindsetting is one. I noticed also to people na nakakausap ko, like the patients na you mentioned, nabubuhayan sila ng loob whenever I talk about my gadgets. So that's one. Kasi parang ako, I always tell them, kahit anong mangyari, honestly, ewan ko if, for me lang to, this is a perfect time to be blind. Sa totoo lang. Kasi, parang, sa totoo lang. Kasi, if, sabi ko nga, siguro if I'd be given the chance to choose a disability, I would choose to be blind over and over again. Kasi, like this, blind lang ako. Hindi ko lang kayo nakikita, but I can talk to you. Nakapunta ako dito, nakapaglakad ako. I have no issues communicating with all of you. So, ako, what I tell those mga parents or yung mga visually impaired na lumalapit sa akin, parang don't lose hope. Kasi itong technology, para na nating mata tong mga to. So, habang may paningin pa kayo, like familiarize yourself with the computers. Swerte lang din kasi ako dahil nakagamit na ako ng computer before I became blind. So, ang bilis kong na-memorize yung keyboard. Dahil sinasabi sa kanila, you can start with screen magnification software hanggang sa unti-unti kayo mag-transition sa mga screen readers. And I promise you, lalo na ngayon, parang the things that sighted people can do, halos nagagawa na rin namin mga blind. So, yeah. Thank you.
Are there any questions pa? Oh, if there are no more questions, I hope all of you enjoyed this as much as I did. It's such an inspiration, and for you to remember that there is really a life after getting your visual impairment. There's a life after blindness. So don't forget that when you see your patients. Dr. Valero, you have any last comments? Dr. Elaine has a question. Elaine? Elaine. You have to unmute yourself. You're not mute.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on the road. Yes, Rhea, congratulations. No, it's so impressive. It's very positive, no? And it's an inspiration to all. I have one question. If you bring the AI triage to the Philippines, is there a way of teaching the many different dialects? Because the Filipinos in the provinces, will that be possible?
As of now, from what I know, GP already supports Tagalog fluently.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Try to communicate with GP with Tagalog.
Oh, but so in short, eventually it can be for the dialects.
I think,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Okay, thank you. So it's possible. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Dr. Valero, baka we can also have her talk to the IT department.
Yeah,
And then the more
actually,
technical
we invited the IT department. I don't know, hindi ko lang kasi hindi naka-identify dito yung IT sila. But yes, I think we want to have if we can, have another session with you, with the management people of Makati Med, including the ones who do the forms, who do our corporate communications, and then IT, just to make sure that we are ahead of the curve in terms of compliance. Hindi naman compliance kasi hindi pa naman siya rule, but we want to be ahead of the curve for this, of course, as I always say nga, parang as eye care practitioners, it is part of our job and our advocacy to be involved in these kinds of things. Hindi lang natatapos sa clinic yung trabaho natin. Okay. So thank you very much. Yeah. So announcements na lang. Again, I'd like to thank our speaker, for this very informative session. I'd like to thank the Low Vision Service also for hosting this. I'd like to thank all of our guests from different hospitals and different teams in Makati Med, for attending today. And we hope that we can explore this further and help with this advocacy. So thank you very much, everyone. Sorry, last announcement na lang pala. It's the 55th Alumni Night of Makati Med. So on June 8th, if you have any donations, please approach Adele. I'd like to thank Christine, the first one who donated. So thank you very much, Christine. Other donations are also welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Bye.